Okay, and we're back in our code editor, and I'm located in lecture 57 folder, which is located in full stack-course 5 examples folder. And here, let's take a look at our HTML template for the menu category. So that's the thing, if we go back to the browser, since my browser sync here is started, so that HTML template is responsible for this one tile. Each one of these tiles is really this HTML right here. So now we have all the categories listed, but what we're still missing is the actual single category page where it lists all the menu items for that particular category. And the way we get to it is by clicking on this whole tile, or clicking this whole tile, particular piece of it, using the anchor tag, the A tag. And you can see it's right now just a hash because we haven't really programmed it. So what we're going to need to do is actually program it such that it goes to a different state that lists all the menu items for one single category. Now, in order to do that, we're going to have to pull out the data for one single category. Because so far, all we have is a list of categories with their names and maybe descriptions, but we don't have the single category menu data yet. Which means that before we even attempt to configure our next view state, we should go ahead and go to our menu service that pulls the data for us from the server and code up one more method that gets the menu items for a particular category based on the short name of that particular category. And just to verify what we're trying to search for, let's go ahead and open a separate tab and we'll find our server right here with menu items. So this will give us all the menu items, all of them together. However, what we really want is we want a question mark, and I already have here, for example, category equals L, the short name L. So right now it became a little bit smaller list, and you can see all the short names is L3, L5, so on. If we do a different one like FR, but you can see now we have all the menu items for this FR short name category. So that's what we need to do. We need to be able to pull out this data dynamically every time we go to a particular category that lists all the items for that single category. So let's go back to our code editor and let's go into the menu service.js, and we're going to need to write one more method. We'll call this method service.getMenuItems, and it's going to be a function, and it's going to take a category as an argument. And I could probably name it category short name, but actually if you go to the browser, you'll see that the actual request name is category. So we'll keep it as category here as well. Okay, we'll put a semicolon here. And what we need to return here is our $HTTP call. We'll do get and do the same thing as before. API path plus /menu items was our URL, items.json. And we need to somehow pass in the actual category as a request parameter. Now we could just go ahead and try to open it up ourselves and basically concatenate more strings, or before we do that, let's go ahead and create an object called config, and we'll place our category request parameter into the object. Well, let's verify first of all there is a category, because if there isn't, we're going to have to output the entire thing. If category exists, we'll say config.params, and we'll give it an object with category as our request parameter and category as the actual value. Okay, so now we could go ahead and uncomment this line. We'll just put a comma and pass in the config object that our HTTP service expects as a config object with the params property to be able to place these params and interpolate them properly onto the URL. And since this is the promise, we need to handle the response properly. And we'll go ahead and say the function. We don't need the name, but it's going to have a response right here. Let's give us a little bit more room on the screen. We'll close the tree view over there. And what we need to do is return response.data, since the actual data is going to come back with the .data property on the response. Now we could save that, and we're ready to configure our next view state that will display a single category with all of the menu items that belong to that single category.